when we are looking at cybersecurity strategies in Fintech, we want to see how we can use AI, machine learning, big data and blockchain for fraud detection, and to handle personalized banking as well as automated transactions. And when we look at the fintech ecosystem in Nigeria, just like Moniepoint, Flutterwave, Paystack, OPay, Kuda, Pega, and so on, they have their financial inclusion being driven by mobile payment, digital banking, as well as lending and payment processing. So the use of a digital platform is quite sacrosanct when we are looking at fintech, because everything is driven by the digital platform within the fintech ecosystem. And with this development, there is a need for a robust platform which will be able to carry out, they will be able to deliver their primary assignment and work without any infractions. When we look at the categories of users of fintech, basically we have 4 categories. First categories are those that are being used for, the technology for business to business, for banks. Then we can also have client to business, and we have consumer, business to consumer. From consumer, we move to business for banks, then client of banks to banks, then business to consumer for small businesses. So these are the major 4 broad categories of fintech. And this is necessary because we are talking about the major areas where the cybersecurity will be of use. Fast forward to 2026, we have these cybersecurity threats facing particularly Nigerian fintech users and institutions. Number 1, we have AI-powered phishing, and this occurs where the SMS, WhatsApp, and email messages are mimicking the official bank communications. How phishing works is that there is infractions or there's malicious activities around the email of or electronic mail messages, whereby the official bank communication is being mimicked or is being duplicated. So the key risk factor in this regard is that where there is digital literacy gaps, there is going to be a very serious problem. Then we have deep fake voice fraud. Deep fake voice fraud is all about the use of AI to impersonate bank officials or family members to authorize transactions. And that's why the issue of authorization and authentication are very germane in cybersecurity in order to forestall or mitigate against this kind of threats or crime. So, and the key risk factor in that regard is the speed of execution. Okay, if the guy that is doing that is very fast, he's going to go with it, and we'll still be talking along that area. Then we have sleeper account fraud. This is where the legitimate accounts opened and left dormant for months being used for coordinated fraud. And it's a kind of fraudulent practice from the users and the customers or any authorized user of the platform. So, and the key risk factor there is system blind spot. Then we have a situation where we can also have SIM swap fraud, where the phone numbers are being hijacked, or OTP, that is one's transaction password and reset banking password. And this risk factor is telecom vulnerabilities. That is, if the telecommunication is vulnerable, definitely this particular threat will be carried out. Then we have the KYC farming. This is where the using real harvested IDs to create multiple verified mole accounts. And in this particular context, the identity authenticity of the user is actually a risk factor. So these are top cybersecurity threats within the fintech, and particularly in the year 2026. Next slide, please. And then moving forward, we also see that from 2025 and 2026, these top cyber threats faced and is still facing the financial system. We have AI-enabled phishing and social engineering. And the AI-enabled phishing is where the AI automated entity is being used to carry out nefarious activities within the platform. Then social engineering occurs where the psychology of the authentic user of the platform is being manipulated, maybe to collect tokens in terms of having access, illegal access to the platform. Then we have the ransom as a service, ransomware as a service. Ransomware as a service happens when the threat actors, increasingly use subscription-based ransomware kit to target financial net. Now, this is one of the most criminal activity, because ransomware, the evil guy that perpetrates this kind of crime, they are going to bring in they are going to hack the system and introduce any kinds of it could be virus, it could be any kind of destructive entity, so that the flow or the workings of the platform will be hampered. So we also have third-party or supply chain attacks. This is where the attackers compromise auxiliary system and vendors to infiltrate banks and fintech platforms. And of course, we have the account takeover. This is when the credentials of the authentic users are compromised, and AI-generated identities will now be what is in use. So financial system face a dynamic threat landscape by the reason of these 5 categories, and these have been the most pressing cyber risk between last year and this year, with demand proactive layered defenses. When we look for that, what actually constitute threats and challenges of recent, there are also regulatory and institutional challenges, and this has actually got to do with the issue of control in terms of the security of the financial systems. And of recent, in 2025, losses were actually incurred as a result of insecurity of the platform. Fraud losses fell to, in 2025, 25.85 billion was actually lost, and 2024, 52.26 billion, and well, there is a kind of reduction in last year losses, but the attempts of losing still remain high. And when we look at trust deficit, 2.1% fraud ratio slows the mobile banking now, and this actually affect the mobile banking adoption and harms the reputation. Then there's consumer liability, and this one is a function of no structural reimbursement for authorized pushed payment fraud victims. So consumer, those are the end users of this fintech. They have been victims of different kinds of crime perpetrated to the platform. And that is why there has been Central Bank of Nigeria response by introducing the SSSG for real-time oversight and proposing. These are different policies for regulation from the Central Bank. Also, we have the crypto-linked fraud, 162 billion naira in crypto-related fraud linked to weak 6DD controls, and we have the issue of account freezing. Then also there is insider threat, whereby the employee collude with to enable control bypass. That is the operational control of the system or the platforms are being compromised. So along the line, there is a regulatory complexity where 62.5 site approval delays and unclear guidelines. Now, these are the various institutional challenges. I know that they are facing presently on fintech ecosystems, and it's not actually synonymous with just a particular brand alone. These are part of the challenges that the system should actually overcome. There are major crimes that are being perpetrated by all the criminals through the ineffective security platforms on financial systems. We have online money laundering, fraudulent loan origination. You see, by the use of this also online money laundering include cryptocurrency, where there are obscure illicit funds, being transferred, and the platform possibly could not even locate the transaction. Then fraudulent loan origination, where we have synthetic identity creation, where this one happens where the identity of the original identity of the user is being cloned, and possibly through assistance of AI activities in order to create exploiting automated credit platforms. Most of the times, the credentials of the users are tampered with in this regard. Then payment fraud chargebacks, unauthorized transaction against customer account. This one is very prominent. You see a lot, particularly you see all these illiterate users of these platforms. They fall victims of payment fraud or chargebacks, and where the customers, they are unable to do little or nothing about that. Then we have point of sale malware, malicious ware, targeting physical digital hybrid infrastructure. So these are various financial crimes and attack vectors that are affecting the cyber operations of financial technology. So bringing the security approach, now there are different layers. In fact, there are up to like 7 different security layers in cybersecurity, but of very important focus and very necessary areas where there is a need for layer security approach. Number one, on the physical security, network security, application security, as well as data security. So, and we can see that these multiple layers ensure redundancy, resilience against all the evolving threats. Now, what we are talking about is that each of these layers, we need to mitigate against cyber threats and cyber crime so that we are not going to fall victims of the consequence of security breach. Physical security has got to do with the physical facilities and hardware being used, and where security is being most of the time there, we talk about multi-factor authentication, whereby we can introduce levels of authentication for users. Then network security, firewalls, intrusion detection systems, or intrusion prevention systems, even the virtual private networks. And these are areas where we have been doing some research in order to forestall or mitigate a breach in network security. And application security also, which has got to do with the software being used for financial technology in order to make it secured and robust so that there will be a kind of detection as well as prevention of intrusion in that regard. Also by the use of multi-layer authentication, that would also be safeguarded. Then data security, in order to secure the code as well as the testing of the data. So encryption and access control, as well as access control, multi-layered access controls, multi-factor controls, they are all relevant in order to deal with all these layer security challenges. There's a need for security in all these layers, the physical layer, the network, application, and data layer of the system in order to mitigate against all kinds of crime, threats, and redundancy in the place of use. Next slide. Traditionally, we know that there are rule-based systems talking about access control, but you see the rule-based systems, which are actually conventional, cannot adapt quickly enough to detect the present novel threats that are being faced in banking as well as fintech systems. So there is a need for AI and machine learning inclusion in order to mitigate against all these threats and crimes. So in order to provide statistical and behavioral insight necessary in order to spot and identify all these subtle anomalies. So bringing in the use of AI as well as machine learning detection models, we have these three different approaches where we have supervised learning. Models are trained or labeled fraudulent or not fraudulent transactions. That is by the use of machine learning. Machine learning is all about the use of heuristic algorithms. Those are the algorithms that mimic the operations of humans as well as nature, as the case, as the case may be. So we make use of decision trees, support vector machine, SVM, in the areas of non-fraudulent, in order to label the fraudulent and non-fraudulent transactions. Then we also make use of unsupervised learning. All these they work by the use of algorithms to detect outliers without needing pre-labeled example. So we make use of clustering algorithms in this respect in order to be able to classify which area of the transaction is being affected. Then also we have the use of graph neural networks. This is used to reveal complex fraud networks across transaction graphs. So these are the new development which are proactive approach in order to mitigate against threats as well as crime perpetrated through the financial technologies. Please, the next slide. Now, the other technique which is being used, the behavioral analytics and biometric security. Actually, the biometric, behavioral as well as biometrics has got to do with, it's very good for multi-factor authentication, whereby we can get the authorization either by who you are, what you have, or what you know. Take for instance, password as well as PIN, they are functions of what you have. But when we are talking about biometrics, behavioral techniques, is all about who you are. Your fingerprint, your palm print, your iris, your vein, your, even in some context, your odor and your palm vein, all those things. All those ones are like typing rhythm and speed, touch screen pressure patterns, mouse movement profiles, gait and device orientation. These are various authentication strategies by which one can mitigate the access, violation of access control into the fintech systems. So cybersecurity is shifting from reactive defenses to proactive strategies. And this is what I've been talking about. Proactive strategies in the sense that we are not only talking about on the spot or real-time assessment of errors or of security now, but what are we going to do to even forestall before it happens? What are the things? So cybersecurity strategies are both preventive as well as proactive in the area of mitigation against frauds and crimes being perpetrated. So there are various techniques by which this one is carried out. Number one, zero trust architecture. Zero trust architecture is all about implicit distrust. That is, there is no user that is trusted. Every user must be actually authenticated by various intrusion detection mechanism in order to verify every transaction or identity of the individual on the platform. Then there is also extended detection and response. This integrates signals for endpoints, network, cloud, and identity systems. So there is a need to look at whenever there is an intrusion or unauthorized access, immediately signals will be sent to the endpoint, as well as, through the network, cloud, and identity system. Then there is automated vulnerability management. This one is to mitigate against any fraudulent activities. And this is done by frequent scanning and rapid mitigation. Then the red team of penetration testing. So the essence of penetration testing is actually in order to forestall any intrusion detection along the line. It is also proactive and preemptive. Penetration testing, at times, in order to see the vulnerability of the system, would this system subscribe to vulnerability intrusion? Will it break down? Will it be able to deliver even along the line? So the essence of penetration testing and involvement of red team. All right. So red team is more of they are working to see whether what will happen to the system if the system is eventually hacked or is having some security breaches. Please, next. So these are various threat mitigation strategies. And one of the techniques that is also very important is how do we respond to incidents, and what is the resilience, that is the how robust, how efficient our platform is. So a robust security program must include incident response plan, particularly immediate incident response plan, and resilience planning, in order to be able to catch and to mitigate in eventualities that can come as a result of either threats or crime being perpetrated in fintech. But this one is in phases. The operation is in phases. In terms of incident response, the operation, first and foremost, we prepare the incidents, and we identify where there has been breaches or where we have infractions. Then the containment. What do we do to forestall what has happened? Then eradication of the threat or the intrusion effect. Then recovery of the system. Then what are the lessons learned? And there should be an handshake between incident response phases and our operational resilience activities along the line. So the essence of incident response is also to safeguard the system and from breaking down when there is any security breach along the line. Then this will make the system to be resilient to any infraction. Apart from all these technology, fintech technology-based techniques of cybersecurity solutions, there is a need to also look at the regulatory compliance. And that is actually human-based. Financial institutions must comply with regional as well as international standards in order to ensure payment security, like we have PCI DSS, GDPR, these are EU data protection policies, as well as DORA, EU financial operational resilience. Actually, on a very good day, there is no any fintech operational company that wouldn't have actually complied with the international regulations or regulatory policies, which are very, very important. So there's a need for financial institutions to always comply with all these regulations. This technique also includes purchase of history analysis, device fingerprint, location intelligence, and behavioral risk scoring. Then there is also real-time risk calls that prevent fraud before settlement. That is to say, at the point of perpetrating the crime, there is a kind of mitigation which make the transactions to be seamless for customers. Also, we have the case of MasterCard, which process billions of transactions annually, and they use AI-powered fraud detection, which is capable of real-time transaction monitoring. And is also one of the areas, by the time the volume of data to be handled is even getting voluminous, there's a need for enhanced AI-powered fraud detection mechanism. Also, the system also leverages advanced AI behavioral analysis in order to adapt continuously to forestall new fraud patterns. Because at times, the fraud patterns, particularly these days, change as a result of as illegal users can make use of AI-assisted technology. So the way to forestall the fraud or to mitigate against this, we can also involve the use of AI. So at times, it depends on the angle by which artificial intelligence is coming. So it could be preventive, and it could also assist the unauthorized users. So that is why it is very, very important now that there should be a kind of a handshake, an integration and collaboration between the academics as well as the industry in order to work on various solutions which can mitigate against these new areas of vulnerability. This is actually meant to strengthen institutional security. The management or the leadership or the head should make sure that all the policies are, they are fully implemented along the line. So there is a human factor to financial security. We have been talking about different layers. There is also the human layer to financial security, not only data layer, not only the application layer, not only the physical layer. There is also a human factor in financial security, and the stakeholders within the ecosystem of Fintech should take note of this. Number one, there is a need for promoting employee cybersecurity awareness training, and that's why I want to personally appreciate the effort of Moniepoint for this kind of initiative, which is very, very important and is going to provide a kind of solution to existential problems along the line concerning financial technology. So there is a need to keep promoting awareness, because the the financial technology or digital platforms are very mobile now in the areas of performance of actions. So various, you can be in place where you have mitigated against several infractions yesterday, new infractions may come in today. So there is a need for dynamism in the area of providing solutions in financial security. Number two, encourage early reporting of suspicious activities. This is very important for the actors that are working in the area of fintech. Number three, develop strong security ethics and a culture of responsibility. Then conducting phishing simulation and security drills. These are like proactive activities whereby we can prepare before there is even any problem at all. you can, how will it, by the time we simulate like this phishing activity, we would have been able to come up with what can now be the solution to forestall if such a thing happens. So then foster collaboration between technical and non-technical team. This is also very, very important. Cybersecurity in financial systems must be one, should be proactive, layered, and adaptable. Now, let's take note of that. It's not just that we are saying it, they are very necessary and very important now. There is a need for proactive techniques as well as a layered approach, making sure that each layer of the system, they are well covered with cybersecurity techniques in order to mitigate against any security breach. Then we need to leverage on AI/machine learning for intelligent anomaly detection. That goes beyond the normal traditional anomaly, and then we should also make use of integrated zero trust and robust identity monitoring. So in this regard, there is a need for inclusion of multi-factor authorization. It's not only authentication. Even after authentication, there should be authorization. That is, there should be levels of authentication, levels of access being given to users among the fintech actors. Then there should be a support of operational resilience with regulatory compliance. So the ecosystem approach ensures safer, more trustworthy financial services. What I'm saying in essence is just like summary of what we have talked about, that if all these are actually engaged, there is going to be a kind of a safe environment in the ecosystem of financial technology operations. Presently, there are challenges, and we have the technical challenges within the fintech systems. We have human and policy challenges, and these are actually, they have created gaps. And you see, where the academia will come in is when we begin to see gaps. Gaps in terms of operation, gaps in terms of delivery or deliverables of expected results, gaps in terms of having a robust and efficient system that can deliver. So we have technical challenges where we have legacy infrastructure integration, real-time analytics at scale, then data quality limitations. Then human and policy challenges, where we have insider threat, insufficient cybersecurity skill set, variability in global regulatory compliance. So, and these they have actually led to ethical AI fraud detection, federated learning for cross-institutional collaboration, explainable machine learning models for regulatory clarity. Now, these are various areas in cybersecurity that we are looking into in order to see how we can come up with solutions and various intrusion detection systems, as well as fraud detection systems, which will help to give a very robust fintech platforms. Now, it's not only that we are looking at the present challenges as well as various threats, problems, fraudulent activities. Why we need cybersecurity techniques activity very, very closely is because what will even come in terms of expected trends. There is growing AI-driven cyber threats and defenses, which the ordinary and conventional solutions will no longer be able to handle. Then there is increasing quantum-resistant cryptography. We make use of encryption when it comes to, you are talking about integrity of the platform, so that unauthorized user or the platform will not give room for any form of criminal activities. Then expansion of decentralized identity solutions. All these ones are actually giving advancement towards autonomous standard operational controls, and is giving us, or they are living challenges in order to handle the various threats, crimes being perpetrated in fintech. So we can begin to see that all these ones are very important along the line. As that is to say, there should be cybersecurity solution that will be able to mitigate this development. So presently, like I said, there are some of these areas by which we are working on in our various areas of academic activities and research. We are working on how we can develop IoT-based threat intelligence systems, crime detecting system using fingerprint recognition. Then the issue of development of digital forensic investigation tools, that which we can use to carry out forensic activities when there is an intrusion or there is a breach in security. Then we are also looking at improvement in blockchain-based certificate verification and authentication systems. We have the the credentials of users, they are going to be subjected to further improved authentication system. Then automated incident response system. Then how do we carry out and manage vulnerability assessment and management of vulnerability activities. So then development of smart authentication system using biometrics and artificial intelligence. Then real-time denial of attack systems, attack detection and mitigation using artificial intelligence. Now, these are the various areas we are looking at that we know that if there are solutions and improvement along this area, it will provide a very resilient and robust platform for financial technology, as well as the involvement of a strong encryption algorithm in data encryption for management information system. Thank you very much. I believe that by this we've been able to look at various areas by which cybersecurity could be of help in the financial technology systems.